Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And since I love to sew, I figured that I will show you guys how I pattern some of my clothes that I tend to teach in the tutorials. I really tend to do my own patterns. I don't like to buy pre-bought ones, so maybe this will be helpful for you as well. So today I'm going to show you how to draft these high-waisted jogger shorts with a drawstring, and then in the next video I'm going to show you how to draft pockets. It's super simple, but I do want it to be a one-off video. So when it comes to drafting your own patterns, you'll want to pick something that is as close to as what you envisioned. So for me, I'm going to use these pajama shorts only because I like the way it fits on my thighs and on my hip. Of course, we're going to change the waistline just a little bit, but I also like it because the waist is encased with an elastic, and that's what I want to make up my shorts to kind of mimic. So here, as you can see, I'm isolating one part of the shorts away from the rest of the shorts. So basically the center front, I'm folding it back, and I'm also folding the inseam as well, and also the side seams. So it's going to look like a pattern just like that. Okay, so what I did was I laid down my first line, which is going to be the hemline of the shorts here. So I take my shorts and I lay it down where the hem of the shorts matches up with the hemline that's on the paper. At the bottom right hand corner, I mark the side seam. Then I take a ruler and I extend that marking all the way up. Now I am going to trace out the inseam, which is this little bit right here where the crotch is, and then I am going to trace the center front, which is this little curve here, and I go all the way up to where the waist is, and I make a mark where the waist starts. Okay, now I am going to do the back side of the short, so I'm gonna go ahead and fold it in half and try to isolate the seams where the center back is and where the back inseam is. Same deal, I'm gonna take the back piece and I am going to match up the hem of that piece to the hemline at the bottom. I trace out the center back curve right here, and then I also trace down the inseam, and I make a mark where the waistline starts. So here's something that's really important before we finalize everything. You gotta make sure that your inseams matches up. So the back inseam needs to be the same length as the front inseam. So if it's a little bit shorter or taller, it's always better to lengthen it so that they both match. Okay, I'm just gonna label a couple things here. The vertical line from before is your side seam. Because I'm gonna cut this in one piece, you won't technically have a side seam, but it's there for reference for other shorts if you want to. That's your center front, and then this is gonna be your center back. And then this is the back inseam, and then I also have the front inseam. The reason why I'm just labeling this all out is it's easier technically to show you how to sew everything together when you know the terminology for everything. Okay, so this is the base to your shorts. Technically, this would be considered a sloper pattern, but I would have to explain sloper in like a completely different video. So this is the pattern that we're gonna work off of. So there's two things that you can play with when it comes to this pattern here. The first would be the waist. You can either lower it or raise it or add a waistband or a casing, whichever. The second would be the hemline, and that would be how long you want your shorts to be, or if you want to add fringes or frills or any other thing. What you cannot mess with would be the center front of the shorts and the center back of the shorts. Just leave those two things alone. So for my high-waisted jogger short, I'm going to go ahead and extend the hemline a little bit. I like my shorts to be a little bit longer. My pajama shorts are a little bit short, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in 2 inches for the hem. And how I do that is that I just draw a parallel line 2 inches below the original hem, and then I extend the vertical line of the back inseam and the front inseam. For the waist, I do want to do two things to it. One, I want to raise the waist up so that it is high-waisted, so I'm going to add an extra 3 inches to the waistline. Originally, these shorts would land right where my hip is, so from my hip all the way up to my belly button, it's approximately 2.5 to 3 inches. I'm doing 3 inches just for good measure here. So what I do is I extend the center front and the center back line up straight by 3 inches, making sure that those two lines are going to be parallel to each other and they do not angle towards each other or away from each other. And then 3 inches above the waist, as you can see, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just marking above the waist, and I connect the center front to the center back. And now these are high-waisted shorts, but they also have an extra 2-inch length to them. Okay, so this is the final design pattern. Now lastly, I am going to add seam allowances and any other extra detailing to it. So for the hem, you can add a 1-inch cuff or even just a 1/4 inch if you want to sew some trims to it. I'm not going to add anything extra because I'm going to just leave the hem edges raw. For the inseams on the front and the back, I'm going to add a 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now it depends on how you sew. Some people like to sew with 5/8 of an inch. I do just a 1/4 inch because it's easier and it's less waste of fabric. For the back and the front, I also add in a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so for the waist, I am going to add a 2-inch waistband. So at the waist, I'm going to add another extra 2 inches. So again, from the center front and the center back, you're gonna extend those two lines up by 2 inches. Then one last final thing is I add a little dot 1 inch away from the center front, and that is where my drawstring is going to feed through. And now I cut out this whole thing and it will be my final pattern. So throughout this whole process, you got your sloper, your design pattern, and now your final pattern with seam allowances and everything. And for this pattern, I just cut 2 of this pattern out and I sew it together. I hope that this video was helpful and you are going to take the next step to create your own patterns so that you can create customized clothes that fits you a little bit better. I hope you guys enjoy. If you like this video, please like, comment, all the stuff. And if you're gonna try this out, please shoot me a photo on my Instagram. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.